Chapter 7. The Ghan. While the Canadian girl who said ridiculous a lot sat on her plane for a 23-hour flight home, we sat on the Ghan for a 19-hour trip back to Adelaide. It seems strange to me that in almost the same time we could have made it all the way to Canada. I was sure that the Canadian hadn't lost her tickets either, unlike us. One could say this was a running joke. We had indeed managed to lose the train tickets that we had booked in advance in Adelaide. If I had been on my own, I would have continued my journey up north, but Mum had booked her return flight from Adelaide and I wanted to see her off. So I bit the bullet and returned with her. I did manage to phone the travel agent in Adelaide, the one who sold us both the bus and train tickets, and she faxed the tickets to me. I was amazed that a tattered fax would gain us entrance, but it did. The Ghan was legendary. One of the world's greatest railway journeys lay ahead of us. Marveling at the ever-changing outback landscape from the comfort of a cushioned train seat was an adventure for the unadventurous. The Ghan slithered through the blazing interior of Australia. It was 113 degrees Fahrenheit outside, but Mum and I were shivering with cold. The air conditioning on this train was on full blast and it was about 60 degrees Fahrenheit on the inside. To us it felt like 27. First of all, we were now used to the heat. Second, we sat there in the shortest shorts and t-shirts we owned, with our luggage safely stowed in the luggage cart, which is not accessible from the passenger part of the Ghan. Not that we had any long clothes anyway, but we could have spread an assortment of clothes over us as a blanket. With chattering teeth, we wished we were back on the bus with no air conditioning, or back in Cooper Pedy and near heat stroke. We couldn't even open a window to let some hot air in. They weren't made to open, and the only air entering the railroad cars was through the air conditioning vents, which blew cold air relentlessly. Only a few hours into the journey, I felt cold to the bone, as if I would never get warm again. Our lips were turning blue. It was ironic, but we sat in a legend. The toilets were legendary too. I wanted to visit the same and found myself in a room like the one in a regular train, but it had no toilet, no bowl, no hole, nothing at all. But I had seen people come in and out of this room, and it said WC on the sign on the door. Where did people go? There certainly wasn't any bodily waste in a corner somewhere. As my desideratum got more urgent, I started pressing and pulling all sorts of panels and buttons in this room, all the while hoping that none would be an emergency brake. To my astonishment, I discovered the foldable toilet just in time. You had to pull a lever and the toilet folded itself out of the wall. The sink worked in the same manner. Once everything was folded away, you could use this room as a shower, although I don't know how you'd keep your towel and clothes dry. At the Ghan's canteen, we tried to warm up over a cup of tea, clutched in our frozen hands before it would close for the night. The warming sensation only lasted a few minutes. The conductor gave us the last 2 vegetable pasties. A little gift warmed our hearts more than a cup of tea ever could. In the night, we got so cold that we decided to steal towels from the first-class passengers in their fancy cabins. The first-class coach had a linen closet that I sniffed out in my desperation for a little warmth. I did not feel bad about it. After all, I would not remove these towels from the train, just borrow them for the remainder of our journey. We wrapped our legs and feet in them and sat in our seats, hugging to keep warm for the remainder of the otherwise uneventful journey. Not the glamorous ending for Mum that we had hoped.